let the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it G. Always be the same me. While I'm solid, boy, they can't change me. No.
We live from the boxing section, you dusty ass niggas. What's going on, man? We live.
It's my girl now, alright?
So, man, we getting closer and closer, man, to the big fight. Tone Brown, salute to my brother. Alex, man, salute to you, my brother. Appreciate y'all for sliding through. So, man, yeah, man. Yeah, you was a little early, but yeah, dude. The face-off was good, man. At least if I'm going to McKenna, man, was good, man. I'm ready. That's the fight I'm most ready for, man. Alicia Bumgardner and Michaela Mayer is gonna be fucking fireworks, man. None of them gonna back down. Both of them coming through. It's gonna be great. Appreciate you for sliding through, man. Let me know if y'all can hear me in the chat too. Yes, indeed. The Michaela Mayer, Lisa Bumgardner. You had that press conference as well. So you had two press conferences, man. Getting ready. I'm at the workhouse, man. You hear the music in the background or something, or what? Yeah, we waiting on DJ to pop in, Mex and Clever, Bass Reeves, waiting on them to come through, and then we're gonna go from there. I'm just holding down so they come through. Here we go. The greatest co-host in co-host history.
Oh man, you far too kind, man. What's going on, bro? Yes, Kyle Worker, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. What's up, Tone Brown, Gump 88, Alex Alberto? What's going on, my brother? Yeah, man. We a little over 24 hours before the weigh-ins, man. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, man, we're finally gonna get that Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall fight, and I'm interested in everybody's opinion as to where Claressa Shields goes next after she gets this victory Saturday, of course. Barring that it's not a close fight, which I don't think my personal opinion, I don't think it's going to be that close. unless it's a close fight, I don't see any more work for her over in boxing. And I think she should just dedicate herself to MMA and growing her skill set there. We all know her. We all know her how her hands are. She's got to work on her grappling and her ground game and try to round that out, or at least work on stuff and takedowns. But I think she could be special. Alex, I know she's mentioned before that she could go to 147, but personally, I don't really believe she can make that weight. Um, and I would hate for her to drain herself down just to try to make a fight. Um, Personally, if Jessica McCaskill or any of these chicks at 147 that want to fight her, I think they should at least try to meet her at 154, because the way I look at it, we would never ask, any of the top guys to come that far down in weight and fight at a weight that they've never fought at before just to make a fight. So I don't think Claressa Shields should do that. I see her in that same light as I see, some of the dominant male champions. We would never ask anybody. We would never ask, say, an Artur Beterbiev to come down to, super welterweight or middleweight just to make a fight. We wouldn't ask him to do that. We wouldn't ask Canelo to come back down to 154 to fight Errol Spence. So, or Terrence Crawford for that matter, or any of the 147 pounders. We wouldn't ask them to come down to make those fights. So I don't think the public should ask Claressa to do that. I don't think that's conducive to her health, to her good health. And I just don't agree with it. Let's see who else is in the chat here. Yeah, that's Salt and Pepper. Okay. Tone Brown said, Kyle, did you see Michaela Bear and Alicia Bumgarner face off on Sky Sport? No, I didn't see it either, Tone Brown. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, man, it's no secret those two don't like each other. And sometimes, in fighting, when two people don't like each other, it doesn't necessarily make for a good fight. I think this can be an exception to the rule, but we'll just have to see what happens on Saturday, man. I'm excited for these fights. I'm excited about that card more than any other card, even Wilder coming back. I think Wilder coming back, I think we're all patiently waiting to see how he looks after those 3 fights with Fury. Personally, I don't think he's going to miss a beat. I just think Fury's that good. His skill set is that good, and nobody else is that large of a human, even though Robert Helenius ain't small. Even though Helenius ain't small at all, I just don't see anybody else with that type of skill set to beat Deontay Wilder in a boxing ring. And everybody knows, if you've watched any of his fights, every man he's been in the ring with has touched earth. So, but only one of them got up. So will Robert Helenius be able to get up? Because history has shown us at some point in that fight, he will touch earth. So that is what it is, man. Devin Haney is going to defend his undisputed lightweight championship against George Kambosos Jr. in a fight that I think the masses believe will go, it's just wash, rinse, and repeat of the same fight. My only question is, where does he go next? Is he really tired of making 135 or trying to make 135, even though he hasn't had any issues with the weight? But, just like Shakur, he's growing. And will he look to take the next step in his career and start to move up in weight? Because I think he will end his career at 147. But, he's still young. He's still relatively young. He's only 22, 23 years old, but he's already getting close to 30 fights. And if y'all have heard me speak before, I don't necessarily count a man's age. I count the amount of fights. That's why, we had the discussion the other day. That's why we had the discussion the other day about how Canelo at certain points in the Gennady Golovkin fight. Yeah, Nardi, looks like I'm holding it down, man. I think Kyle's at work. So yeah, I'm gonna try to hold it down for a little while, man. Anybody can join the panel. I think the link is in the chat. Yeah, I think the link is at the chat at the top of the chat. But back to what I was saying, man, is even though Canelo and the Charlos are pretty much the same age, they look different at this point in their careers, and I attribute that to, you know, Cinnamon Alvarez having twice as many fights as those guys. You know, starting so early can be both a blessing and a curse. Starting so early, which could also mean that your career ends just as early. And not to say that he's had a quick career by any means. I mean, he went pro at 15 years old. So you got to think about it. That's over 60 camps. That's over, 60 fights. And some of those were hard fights, even though he came out on top. What's up, Vegas Vic? Salute, man. Salute. Most of those fights he came out on top, but some of them were hard fights. Arguably, he lost some of them. And anybody who knows me knows I don't have any love for Gennady Golovkin, but I do think Gennady Golovkin beat him in that first fight. I'm glad we finally closed that chapter, though. I didn't like the way Gennady Golovkin was able to sit aside and babysit his belts until he got another opportunity to fight Cinnamon Alvarez, because when the other guys do it, I'm speaking of Demetrius Andrade or Jamal Charlo, they get shit for it or they get flack for it. So, I just, I didn't like how he was able to do that when Demetrius Andrade was openly calling him out, openly calling out Charlo, and he was openly calling out Cinnamon as well, but he got none of those fights. Now, some of that could have been his fault and the way he was moving, but I think he still should have got one of those fights. What's going on? Pittsburgh T said, did you see the new allegations for a dirty PED test for a previous fight with the same drug, clomiphene? I heard about it today. I just heard about it today, Pittsburgh. I hadn't seen anything else prior to it, but I heard about it today. And I mean, what can you say? Now his whole career comes into question. That's the one thing about when you test positive for PEDs, not a banned substance, but PEDs. When you test positive for PEDs, man, it brings your whole career into question. It's like, damn, well, how good really how good were you? And in my opinion, he should have just taken the Durant in his fight, took his paycheck and took his nap, and maybe we wouldn't be here today. But if you look at, I spoke about it before, if you look at everything that was going down up until, the drug test came out about Conor Benn, you look at the circumstances surrounding that Chris Eubank fight, man, they were really trying to set that guy up for some reason. I want to know, who did he piss off to go in there with a guy on a banned substance or a PED? And not only that, but making him come down and wait. Well, you can't make another grown man do nothing, but they requested that he come down and wait. And not only that, you're fighting a guy who's juiced to the gills, man. So I'm glad they caught him. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that, man. We'll see what other details comes out in the coming weeks, but I'm glad they caught him. What did let me see what Alex said. Missed his comment earlier. I stand by my first round KO. I just hope Lanius doesn't have to go out on a stretch. Yeah, man, I want everybody to be all right, but I think a lot of us fully expect Robert Helenius to go sleepy night. My opinion, I think he's going sleepy night within 5. But we'll see what happens, man. It usually takes Wilder anywhere between 1 and 7 to really get somebody out of there. Even though he got I think he got Luis Ortiz in the 10th round of that second fight, I want to say. With the 5-pound rehydration clause. That's what else I was forgetting. Thank you, Tone Brown. I knew it was something else. Then he couldn't. They would tell him he couldn't eat. First of all, I'm a grown man. You're not going to tell me what I can and can't eat. If I choose not to eat something, if I choose not to eat something as a man, that's one thing. But you ain't going to tell me, I can't rehydrate myself and I can't eat. I just think that was crazy. But I also put some of the accountability on Chris Eubank Jr. because he did sign the contract. He saw all of that and still signed the contract. He would have died if he went in. Yeah, man, I was kind of flippantly throwing it out there as a joke, but man, that was a hit. That was a hit, plain and simple. They knew the kid was dirty. They knew Conor Benn was dirty, and they tried to cover it up. From my understanding, I might be, misunderstanding something, but from my understanding, they knew the kid was dirty. They tried to conceal the results of the drug test until his B sample came out, and we all still waiting on Dillian White's B sample, by the way, just to throw that out there. But for some reason, one way or another, I don't know what Chris Eubank did to anybody. I haven't followed his career like that. I've only seen him fight a couple times. I've only seen Conor Benn fight once. But I don't know what Chris Eubank did behind the scenes to piss off some people who want to send him into a situation like that. And moreover, even without them knowing about the failed drug test from Conor Benn, why would you allow your fighter to sign that contract? If he's not going to come up to my weight, I'm not going to acquiesce to anybody who not only doesn't have a belt, never been a champion, other than the family lineage between those two, I really didn't see a need for the fight. And like I said, hindsight being 2020, I actually respected Conor Benn at first, for actually quote unquote daring to be great. Until I heard all the stipulations in the contract, I was like, oh, so you're just trying to stack the deck in your favor. You really don't want to be great. I thought he was going to go up and meet Chris Eubank at middleweight at the full middleweight limit of 160. But once all this, it's a catch weight of 155 or 150, 158 or some crap like that. He was asking the man to come down and wait. And then he's on PEDs and he can't rehydrate himself. So why even bother signing up for the fight? I have a very simplistic view on a lot of things. Like, if you want to put all that in a contract, then you really don't want a fair one. Personally, you only get what Pittsburgh say, you only get a B sample tested if the fighter requests to prove they are innocent. So don't hold your breath for a B sample test. That's what I'm saying, Pittsburgh. I think I've heard something about his B sample because he's still saying he's a clean fighter. He's still coming out here claiming he's a clean fighter. So, yeah, man. Unfortunately, somebody will take the bait. But if I'm handling fighters, and this is just the way I look at it, if I'm handling fighters, my fighter would never step in the ring with somebody. Well, I'm not going to say never, but he wouldn't be the first person to step in the ring with somebody who just tested positive. Just plain and simple. I wouldn't care about the amount of money. I wouldn't care what was at stake, because possibly it wouldn't be anything at stake at that point. But you look at the Oscar Valdez and Hobson Conceição situation, where Valdez not only got the fight, but he got to keep his belt. Yeah, my fighter wouldn't go anywhere near anybody who tested positive for any type of PED. Now, banned substance, that's a very vague statement. You're painting with a broad brush with that. What does that mean exactly, a banned substance? Because according to the guys in the UFC who have tested positive before, the list of banned substances is thick as a phone book. For the kids out there who don't know what a phone book is, they used to deliver these books with everybody's phone number in it for the Tri-County area, wherever you were. There was a book and there was a list of house phone numbers. Now everybody has cell phones, so a lot of people really don't have house phones anymore. They used to deliver books for you every month or every couple months that had a list of all the local businesses and people's phone numbers in a book that they would deliver to you. That's a phone book for the kids out there who don't know what a phone book is. It's not just your contacts in your cell phone. Chris Eubank is only a big star in the UK in reality. In reality, every time he takes a step up, he loses. Yeah, I guess so. I know he lost to. Didn't he lose to Billy Joe? I thought he lost to Billy Joe, which I'm trying to figure out what happened to that. I think that man got his 8 million and said, "I'm cool." He got his 8 million, got his face broken, said, "I'm cool, I'm out." What's up, Pittsburgh?
What's up, DJ? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just talking a little bit of this boxing talk, man. Catching up with some of this stuff. What's going on with his best?
Hey, let me ask you. You think that fight ever happened?
Huh?
You think that fight ever happened with the Ben and that Ben fight, that rivalry fight? You think that ever happened at this point?
If I'm Chris Eubank, I'm telling him go to hell.
Okay.
Not only that, but I've said this several times as well. I'm suing the draws off him.
Should, yeah.
I'm suing the draws off of Conor Ben, because not only did you put all these weird stipulations in the contract that I still agreed to because I was still willing to take the fight with the rehydration clause and the weight, but you tried to cheat me. And by you trying to cheat me, the fight getting called off, you cost me money. Now this is time I've taken away from my family. This is time and resources that I've put into a training camp. And now I think did he still weigh in and get his paycheck?
Yep. Yeah, he did.
Okay. So that's good. So he didn't really he didn't really cost him any money. I don't know how their pay scale is set up. I don't know the detail on how much money they were getting paid for this fight. But still, you cost me a fight. You wasted me time. I wasted time and resources preparing for you, and you tested positive and had to pull out of the fight. So yeah, I sue the draws off it, man.
But his daddy had to know something, don't you think? Because the daddy been saying that he shouldn't take that fight for a minute. I mean, it was falling on deaf ears if people weren't paying attention.
Yeah, I was hearing that as well. His daddy was pleading with him, son, don't take this fight. And your parents are just your parents were looking out. Your parents' best job is try to protect you, protect and provide for you. But seeing as how Chris Eubank Jr. is a grown man, he was I think Chris Eubank Sr. was just trying to protect his son because he knew evil was afoot.
He knew something. He in those arenas.
Yeah, he knew evil was afoot. He was begging his son not to take that fight.
Yeah, he wasn't doing that for no reason because he'd never done that before publicly.
Yeah, publicly at least. But that's why I said, man, the more details come out, you're starting to find out that people had known or at least had an idea that Conor Ben was dirty.
Yeah,
and they were trying to hold off the results until after the fight, or just postpone the results to after sometime after the fight. And that's the side of the business that every fighter and every manager and trainer should be weary of, because you got people out here who will try to conceal the results of a dirty drug test. Remember, that's kind of why I'm not going to put it all on that, but that's kind of why Bob Arum had a few choice words for Mike Coppinger. Mike Coppinger don't get a lot of things right, or he'll do a lot of things late. But he was spot on with that, and I think Top Rank was trying to conceal the fact that Oscar Valdez popped dirty until after the fight.
Well, they'd have to also go after Hearn for his shady history of that too. Yeah. So somebody got to break that mold and start going after these folks that they know that they got that information, because if their father had that information, a lot of other people had that they in that circle, that the trainers taught each other fighters that are sparring, they know what's going on. We don't know, but they know.
Yeah, Tom Brown said it was all bad from the jump. Yeah, man. I just, I didn't. My first, thought about the fight was, why is he fighting a middleweight when he's top five at welterweight? Like, there's work for him down here at welterweight. You can either go above you and try to. I mean, you and Virgil Ortiz fight on the same network, so to speak, or the same app or the streaming service, whatever you want to call it. Y'all fight over there, maybe not for the same promoter, but y'all fight on the same network. So I'm pretty sure y'all could have worked something out there the way y'all could have got something going. But even moreover, like, you're ranked in the same sanctioning body as Jerron Ennis. It comes down to, do you want to do you want to be a champion or not? Do you want to be the best of the best, or are you just trying to collect some money? Either way, I'm good. Like, as long as you make your intentions known, like Javante Davis has let it be known, like, where the money at. I'm where the money at. I don't really care about the belts. I'm where the money at.
Well, did you see the interview his dad did where he basically said what you said about his son, that he tried to talk to his son, but he had basically been influenced by Mayweather. Did you see the interview they did?
No, sir, I didn't at all. Like, once the fight was called off, like, I had minimal interest in the fight to begin with, Pittsburgh, but once they called the fight off, I was like, okay, I'm done with it. Next.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see what the backstory was. Why the hell was this such a big fight? That's why I was looking at some of that stuff, because I didn't know who the hell either one of those fighters was. I didn't know no history of their fathers. Because, like, here, as we grew up, I mean, that might have been a big fight over there, but shit, we ain't know nothing about that.
Yeah, it was a big fight over their fathers fought back like almost 30 years ago. 30 plus years ago, man. Oh, I'm about to drop my laptop. Anywho, but yeah, man, their fathers fought years ago. So I guess they were trying to, catch lightning in a bottle with that again. But it's just not the same. That was for the middleweight championship of the world at that time. So even though the WBO wasn't considered a major belt, that was for the W. I went back and watched that fight, and it was actually a pretty good scrap, man. But they were trying to catch lightning in a bottle, man. Get their sons involved, and it's kind of like how Hakeem Rahman extended the challenge to Evander Holyfield. Like, you got a son at 54, I got a son at 54. Let's get something going, and then me and you can fight again. In some type of Legends League thing. Get them two guys out there fighting. I had no interest in seeing them two guys fight, but I want to see what their sons look like.
Yeah, but Ben messed up that. Ben messed that up. He messed up that money. Like, and he got the shade on his name too.
Money.
Yep, he messed his name up. He messed the money up. He did a lot of stuff. I mean, he ruined a whole situation. He fucked it all up.
Yeah,
he ain't gonna be able to fix that.
Yeah, right now with Conor being, man, it's like we're gonna slowly. Well, the boxing media is gonna do one of two things. Either he's gonna fade into obscurity, or they're gonna peel back the layers of this, and they're gonna peel back the layers of this onion, and just to see how rotten it really is. How long has he been taking this? So we'll see, man. We'll see. But on to this weekend, man. I got to see who else is on these cards this weekend. Like I was saying earlier on the earlier live, I hate Clarissa has to compete with college football. That more so anything is what bothers me. I hate that she has to compete with college football, because people are going to look at it and like, oh, she didn't do great numbers. Well, she also fought on the same day that you had Alabama at Tennessee. You got 3 versus 6 in college football at that same time. And I think you got TCU playing Oklahoma State around that same time, or I think they might play earlier in the day. What other? It's a lot of good college games coming on in the afternoon window. And leading right into that, you go right from that to possibly another college game on ESPN, and then you go into the Devin Haney fight.
What's your expectations for that fight, DJ? How you see that fight, the Shields fight, man?
I'll be surprised if Savannah Marshall wins 3 rounds. I think they'll give her 2 to be generous, but just for her fighting in her home country. And I looked it up, man. I was curious because Claressa keeps mentioning how we're not fighting in Newcastle. We're not fighting in Newcastle. Well, I was like, well, England is a very small country, so how far is Newcastle from London? Newcastle is 20 minutes from London. So it's still a hometown fight for Savannah Marshall. And you got to think about it. This is also the same place where they, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people share this opinion, from when Claressa fought Savannah Marshall in the amateurs 10 years ago, that Claressa got cheated in London. I think Claressa was cheated in that fight, but I think she let it go over time because she's been able to achieve the things that she's been able to achieve in the sport. We all know her resume, but I think she let it go for a long time until Savannah Marshall came back up. When Eddie Hearn mentioned Savannah Marshall, I think it was 2 years ago now, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, she started mentioning Savannah Marshall to Claressa Shields. And ever since then, it just seemed like Claressa's been very, very annoyed with this woman. This is the one thing that really, like, we've heard Claressa be brash and be cocky. And I love it. If you really believe that, I love it. Whatever you believe in your head, if it makes you a great fighter, if it makes you a better fighter for it, then go for it. I love the smack talk, and I love how Claressa's been talking to her. And Savannah Marshall's been trying to give it right back, but she really don't have a lot of legs to stand on. Well, she really don't have a leg to stand on other than that win in the amateurs 10 years ago. And
yeah, but they were what? That was amateurs for them is what, 17, 18 years old, or am I too young?
Claressa was 16, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Claressa was 16, and I think Savannah Marshall was like 21. She was like 20, 21. Yeah, Savannah Marshall was a grown woman.
Okay.
Yeah, Claressa was a kid because this was before Claressa won her first gold medal. This is the first and only time that she lost in boxing. And that was in the amateurs against Savannah Marshall before she won her first gold medal. But since then, she's won 2 gold medals, world championships, everything. Like I said, we know her resume.
But she might just have a mental note, maybe it's in the back of her head, but she ain't letting it go. She just ain't verbally saying it.
Yeah. I think the worst thing that could happen to Claressa in this fight is she comes out emotional, just way too emotional, wanting to beat Savannah Marshall up instead of boxing her face off and getting out of there. And it's like, yeah, you see, I told you she wasn't better than me. She had no chance against me. I think she's really in the mindset of, like, I'm not in the camp. This is just me speaking from afar. I really think she's in the mindset, I really want to whoop her ass. Like, I really want to come out here and beat Savannah Marshall up. When that's just not what she does. Claressa is a great boxer. She's a masterful boxer. Not only her hand speed, but her combinations. Her combinations are absolutely excellent. And it's going to be up to Savannah Marshall to either catch her coming in or catch her going out. That is the only way that she's going to be able to win the fight, in my opinion, by knockout. I have no doubt in my mind that Claressa is about to box her face off. It's either going to be 8-2, 9-1, or 10-0. At the very worst for Claressa, it'll be 8-2, in my opinion.
We gonna see. Did you talk about the water fight already, VJ?
No, I glanced over it briefly, but we'll see what happens in that, man. I think the only thing people are trying to see is what's it gonna look like when Deontay Wilder gets hit. because those are the only questions that people have. I don't think anybody's questioning his power. I don't think anybody's questioning his footwork. I don't think anybody questions his heart. I don't think anybody questioned his preparation. It's what is he after those 3 hard fights with Fury? What is his chin gonna look like when it gets touched? And Robert Helenius is a big, powerful puncher who is on a win streak. It is currently ranked. I think he's ranked number 5 in the WBC. He's ranked number 2 in the WBA. So this is just not some journeyman that Deontay Wilder picked to come in his comeback fight, which he's only been out a year. We say comeback fight like he's been out, 2-3 years and been nursing injuries and all this type of stuff. No, he just fought last year. Fought his ass off, dropped Fury twice, and it just he came up short. But it is what it is. Plenty of boxers have come up short, but I think after that last knockout, people are really questioning his chin. Like, can he even take a shot anymore? And especially after those fights, and people question his chin after the fights with Fury, but Luis Ortiz was hitting him with some shit too. So It's just, I think that's the only question leading into this fight. What is Deontay Wilder's chin gonna look like once it gets touched? So we'll see, man. I don't have any questions about his chin.
Well, I think it's weird with Wilder is like you'll see people question his competition level, and when he's fighting them, and then when somebody else fighting them, they hype the guy up, which I think is really weird. Like the whole Ortiz thing, people were, why is he fighting him again? He's a nobody, this, that, and the third. But then when Fury fights him and it's a fighter they like, then they want to roll out his resume. Same thing with pretty much all these fighters. That's what happens. I think they do that maneuver, which is really, really weird. But Wilder, to his credit, I mean, if you look at what the fighters when he's fighting them, those are pretty tough fights.
Right. Like,
ain't no cakewalks.
No matter how we look at it, people, like I say all the time, hindsight being what it is, we can say whatever we want to say, man. But Bermane Stiverne was a champion when he fought him and boxed his face off. Deontay Wilder boxed his face off. He didn't knock out Bermane Stiverne the first time he fought him. He boxed his face off and won his first title. So
yeah,
it's crazy how people, same thing you said. People point out how AJ has this spectacular resume. Oh, look at the guys he's fought. Look at the guys he's fought. But those same guys, for whatever reason, didn't want to fight Deontay Wilder. You can only make your resume off the people who want to fight you.
Yeah, like Haney. People point out his resume all the time, but I mean, he can't force the guys to get in the ring and fight him.
Right.
So, I mean, you got to fight who's in front of him.
My personal opinion, I think he should move up and fight Teofimo Lopez in his next fight. To hell with Lomachenko. I know that's an unpopular opinion. A lot of people do want to see Devin Haney with fight Lomachenko, which I have no problem with that. But the more compelling fight for me, because I think Devin Haney beats Lomachenko easy. The more compelling fight to me is the fight that we didn't get. What's up, OG Tate? Salute, man. Salute. I think the fight that I want to see, at 140 in that division, at the 140 division, will be him and Teofimo Lopez next year. I think that would be a great fight.
I don't think Teo's trying to fight him, DJ. I don't think Teo's trying to fight him. Teo didn't even want to rematch. What's his name?
Lomachenko.
He didn't even talk about Camboso, none of that. He ain't.
Well, it's weird because you don't have a rematch, what you call rematch clause with a mandatory. OG Tate, a lot of people say that. I know Teofimo's at 140. I'm saying, Devin Haney could go up and jump the line, and see it as how Teofimo's ranked, like I think number 4 in the WBO right now at 140. And Devin Haney could possibly jump the line, and that could be a title eliminator or interim title fight or they could maneuver some things. I think what's his name? Josh Taylor still holds the WBO belt at 140, but he's about to fight Catterall at a catchweight, which is beyond me. Like, like how you having a rematch at a catchweight against a guy who arguably you lost to. But I know T.O.'s at 140. That's what I'm saying. I think the way Devin's contract was, I don't think anybody cleared that up for me earlier. I couldn't remember whether it was 2 fights with Kambosos if he won the first one. It was 2 fights with Kambosos, and then I don't know whether it was an option for the third fight with Top Rank, or if it was just 3 fights to begin with. It's 2 fights against Kambosos if you win the first one, and you have another fight with him.
It seems that way, but the father was saying that he was talking a little different. So I'm not sure. Like, I ain't really seen no paperwork, because remember they were trying to make that fight with Gervonta Davis, and they felt like they could give Kambosos another fight and still make the fight with Gervonta Davis some kind of way. That was the father saying that. The father, manager / trainer, saying that. So who knows?
Yeah. How about them Eagles? Yeah, man, big 5-0, absolutely. About to be 6-0 after we take down them Cowgirls this Sunday, but that's a whole nother discussion. Taylor Bell, shout out to you. Haley doesn't have. Oh, you already read that one. Teofimo is past. It's past it. He peaked for Loma. He's satisfied now. No, I think he just got a wake up call. I think he was just, as my grandmama used to say, I think he was smelling himself after he beat Loma, which he had every right to do, because he just beat the guy who was, let's not forget the rigmarole that was surrounding Lomachenko. We've never seen anything like him. He might be better than Ali and all this type of stuff. Like, he was the number 1 pound for pound fighter and all this type of stuff. So yeah, after I beat that guy, unanimous decision. There wasn't no split decision. Unanimous. After I beat that guy, I'm gonna feel some type of way about myself. I'm gonna feel like I am, like, as they say now, I'm gonna feel like I'm him. So but yeah, OG Tate, it was the third fight was undetermined. It was Kambosos, and the only way the rematch would happen is if Kambosos lost, and then there was a third fight that happened under that banner. I didn't know. I still don't know whether that's optional or everybody's just assuming, or everybody just knows or assuming that there is a third fight and it's going to be Lomachenko. But if you look at how Top Rank is moving and you look at how Lomachenko is moving, he fights 2 weeks from Saturday. Lomachenko fights 2 weeks from Saturday. So they're on the same schedule. And I think that fight will possibly happen in April. I don't see them dragging it out any longer than that. You start getting into, because I know you're possibly not going to have that fight in May or June. But we'll see, man. We'll see. But I think April will be a great time to have that fight. I don't see anything going on really in April other than the NBA playoffs about to start. You can just pick a random Saturday night and have that fight on. So
how many more years do you think DJ?
Huh?
I was going to ask you how many years you think. How much further you think Lomachenko got?
I think in these next couple fights, if he's to fight Devin, and I think Devin beats him, I think he'll still get a shot, get a title shot. Because whether it's the next fight after Lomachenko or if it's after Kambosos, I think Devin is moving up fairly soon.
No, I mean the other way, Lomachenko. How much longer you think he's going to be around?
That's what I was getting to. Like, I don't think he's got that long, because eventually he's going to run into Shakur, and I think Shakur is going to be the one to retire him.
Okay.
Because Shakur is coming into his own. And you can see him getting bigger, stronger, and faster and sharper. His skills are getting sharper. And I just think with Lomachenko being at this point, how old is Loma? 34, 35, something like that? I think he's like 34, 35 years old. And at those lower weights like that, once your speed and your timing is gone, or you run into a guy just as fast, just a little bit faster and just as sharp as you, That's not a good look, man. Is he gonna stay down there and get fed to guys like Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson and Isak Cruz? Even though I don't think he'll fight Isak Cruz, but you know, we'll see what happens, man. Or will they finally make that Gervonta Davis fight happen? Which I don't think it'll happen because history has shown me, and I bring this up all the time, and people, history has shown me that Floyd Mayweather and Mayweather Promotions and Leonard Ellaby, they do not want to do business with Bob Arum.
Yeah,
they don't. We can feel however we want to feel about it, but they've done business with him in the past. If you know Floyd Mayweather's history, Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s history, if you know his history, you understand why he doesn't want to do business with Bob Arum, even though it's been, almost 20 years now. How long has it been? Since before the Oscar fight. The Oscar fight was what, 2006? Was it 2006, 2007, something like that?
A long time.
It's been a long time, man. So it was before that. So you got to think it's been almost 20 years. You got to think it's been almost 20 years, man. And he's still holding that grudge. I don't think he wants to do business with Bob Arum. So when people said Tank was ducking Loma all those years ago, I think Tank, and I say this too, I think Tank is a street kid from Baltimore who don't care who he fights. But even though he's never acted in his own words, even though he greets with his even though he who greets with fire. I was looking at his comment. Don't say Loma is old. People with diminished wins for Dev and Shakur when they eventually beat Loma. Yeah, that's also true. Also true. You're 100% correct. But you got a lot of people who saying he'll still spank Shakur. So you got a lot of people saying he'll spank Devin. So I keep the same energy, man. Even still, that'll be a good win for either guy who gets the fight. Be a great win for whoever wins the fight.
But remember, Gervonta Davis was saying that he wanted to fight Haney if he win that fight, and then after he won, with Camboso, you never heard anything about that. Not saying he didn't say anything negative. He just didn't say anything. He didn't come out of his camp anything because he said, "You talking crazy? If you beat him, I'll fight you next." And that quote has been serviced around the internet all over the place. But you don't hear them speak about that, him or his camp, about Haney at all. So I know people always say Haney don't have no pop and he ain't got no power. I mean, shit, these guys ain't fighting him.
Yeah, and to quote Devin Haney, these guys say everything but let's fight. Even though Tank said let's fight, like Devin Haney knew, like we waited a while, but I think he kind of knew George Kambosos was going to want his run back, and I think this would be George Kambosos' last big fight for a while. He'll start fighting. He'll start fighting other guys, man. He'll get fed to the Rollies and and just throwing a name out there. He'll get thrown to the Rollies, the Frank Martins. He'll get thrown to those guys because look, you've been the champion. You lost to the undisputed champion. You lost to the same guy twice. He's gonna move out of the division. I don't think a lot of people would pick George Kambosos over Lomachenko or Gervonta Davis or Shakur Stevenson. So where do you really go from here?
Yeah. Ain't a lot of room left there.
I really should just say Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson because we know Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis ain't fighting. As sad as that is, we know that ain't happening. Hell, I was disappointed when Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia didn't fight years ago.
But some of these fights that they can make, when they can make them, they need to try to make those fights because those windows get smaller and smaller. They think they're gonna come back to them later, and then later just never fucking comes.
Yeah, man, it's just you got to strike while the public is, and we're seeing it right now. Since Kyle ain't here, I'll kind of mention it, but we're seeing it right now with the with the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight. We're seeing that now. You got to strike while the public wants to see that fight, because once they lose interest, and you kind of got to apply that WWE mindset to it. The worst thing that could happen to you in the entertainment business is nobody cares. Like, if they boo you, they cheer you, cool. That means they're invested in the fight. But if nobody cares, if it's just quiet, like, we haven't really heard any new news regarding that fight for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. So
I don't even think that news was good though, DJ. That's the problem
it's
I
just
had
news.
with it. Like,
It's not.
yeah,
It's only good news. Only news we want to hear from that fight is the date and the venue.
yep. And I don't think
at this point,
you hearing about negotiations is good at all. Like, I don't even think you hearing the details of negotiations is good, because that means the fight ain't getting made. That's somebody trying to cover their ass and say, "Hey, look, this is why this ain't happening. It's because of this guy." When you don't hear no news, in my mind, that means that they're actually working on the fight. When you hear all this bullshit, that means that the fight, more likely, they got some problems that they got to work through. You know, no news is good news as far as negotiations go.
what my guy said, he who greased with fire. I like the name, by the way. Tired of those dudes playing. If you want to fight Tank, those guys will have to come over to PBC to make the deal. Those guys aren't going to be on ESPN or the Zone. I mean, that's a barrier as well. The networks, because we all, I mean, if you follow the sport, you know, and if you care about the tea leaves and stuff like that, we all know that Tank Davis or Gervonta Davis has a exclusive deal with Showtime. Showtime is going to want to be involved in the deal some way, somehow. Let me see what Bonquiqui said. He asked me a question earlier. How do you feel about the Kambosos versus Haney fight? I think it's going to be wash, rinse, and repeat of the first fight. I just, skill-wise, I just don't think Kambosos offers any type of real resistance towards Devin Haney. I think we got his best shot the first time in front of, in Marvel Stadium, that big rugby stadium that they sold out. I think we got his best shot, and I don't think he's going to be able to do anything different within 4 months. Within 4 months, he hadn't learned anything new. I mean, only thing he could possibly do is try to be more aggressive, but even then, you're doing that against a master counterpuncher like Devin Haney and somebody who's good at it. Only way this fight will be interesting is if Devin Haney wants it to be interesting. And let me see, Bonquiqui, you had another question. Is it a good or bad thing to rely on technology so much? That's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day, bro. But I absolutely say no. It's not a good thing. I know you're right. Like, I don't know, Cosmic, you might. Eddie Hearn got folks thinking negotiations are done through media. Yeah, I mean, people get out there. First of all, what's going on, Steph?
What's going on, DJ? Pittsburgh T. Salute.
Yeah,
So
it's funny that you about that advanced technology. I was thinking kind of like with in football they want to do the replays of the roughing the passer. I don't think that would help the game. That's just too much communication that would like draw a bunch of different type of pros and cons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it'll just slow the game down. That's it. And it'll take the subjective calls, and it all depends on what the guy called on the field. Okay, he called roughing the passer, and you listen to him when they go to replay. Is there definitive proof that it wasn't roughing the passer? So, it'll just slow the game down, because I think they said like 75 or 80% of the calls on the field are upheld anyway. So it's just slowing it down. It's just slowing the game down.
Right.
AI is getting smarter. Yeah, Bonquiqui, if you're a sci-fi guy like I am, the robots always take over.
I like sci-fi too, but I mean, we don't have to worry about that in our lifetimes. We don't have
Yeah.
to worry about that. But they ain't taking over it. Shit. In fact, the only way that's gonna happen, while we're on that subject, is that if someone programs it like that, and creates some type of hole to where it'd be hard for man to get a hold of it again. But that's coding, right? That's what artificial intelligence is. So
Yeah, but it's already your stuff though. You're wrong on that sense. I mean, that's a whole nother subject, but you're wrong.
I'm
Trust
about
me,
to
you're
say,
wrong
yeah,
on that sense.
we can go deep
That's a
space
whole
nine
that's
on
a
that.
whole deep that's a whole deep dive, but you're wrong on that one. Trust me.
I'll battle you guys as much as I can, but I mean,
Let me just say this part, and I'm not going to go too far with it because I don't want to get too far away from boxing. But they
Go for
have
it.
quantum computers. They got quantum computers, and they keep those things mostly at public colleges, so they can monitor those things. Those things can compute, they can compute all this data in very quick time, and that's real processing power that they monitor. Artificial intelligence, once they turn that thing on, it's thinking and constantly evolving. If they turn that thing on and put it on a quantum computer, they're not going to be able to turn that shit off. There ain't no on and off switch on that shit. They know that. That's why they separate that stuff. And that's why they have that stuff really not connected to the internet. And that's why they haven't done it.
Okay, I like that, but hear me out, Pittsburgh. Again, that's man-made technology and finite, meaning we control it. Someone had to program it. Someone had to, again, put the information in that.
Hey, Cosmic, I think the link is in the chat already. If you need me to drop it again, yeah, I think you need me to drop it.
It's up at the top if they can get all the way
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
about to
top.
say it should be at the top, but yeah, man, before we go deep space nine on that.
Yeah, let's not go down this road.
I know.
That's something else, man. We gonna go somewhere other place, and DJ on here, so let's talk about boxing because he's very knowledgeable about that, and I like to hear what he's. I don't want to go down that road because I know a lot about that stuff, and I don't want to be the person just talking about something. It's the boxing channel. We talking about this shit. I mean, I don't want to do that. Channel.
Last thing I just want to say on it though, and I'll shut up about it. Whatever we want to call that stuff, if that's true, that's in game. That's game over, straight up for the human race. Straight up, like, if what you guys say that's true, that's Terminator 2 basically.
No, but it's not that. But Steph, think of it like this: artificial intelligence is just software. That's learning software that once you turn it on, it doesn't have to keep reprogramming. It's learning software. It's intelligence that's built into it, meaning that you don't have to code up every single thing. It's learning things as it goes. When you put that learning capability, and you accelerate that, and you give that computing power, and you can't undo that because it can think way faster than anything that we can program or anything that we can think. So they know that. That's a whole nother, that's a whole thing. It's two different things, like the artificial intelligence and intelligence for it to learn and evolve, and the computing power that they have available. Those two things combined, those are very powerful things.
Let's dedicate another time zone for it.
Yeah, that's not this. Those are two different things, and you have to go deep into that stuff for people to even understand. Because some people might not even understand either part of what the hell we're talking about. So I don't want to stray off of this stuff.
Yeah, and just to reassure you again, yeah, let's dedicate some time to that because no matter agree or disagree, when you're listening, you're learning. So I would like to listen to that and learn, and hopefully vice versa, you guys can learn from me as well. But yeah, back to boxing.
Yeah, man. Got some good fights coming up this weekend.
Everyone's been saying that. I can kind of, I'm about to bring them around down.
Oh no.
Oh man. Yeah, everyone's been trying to talk themselves into like, oh yeah, I get it. It's a lot of boxing, but like it's one day, DJ Pittsburgh. It's one day. And then after that, I think we get like two more. One really, because I don't think one out of two, no one's gonna really care. But I mean, probably since Fulton's last outing, it's been a slow summer, slow fall, heading into the winter.
That's the economy, though, stuff too, man. That's what I was telling you. Remember earlier this year, DJ, I was telling you about the economy, how they was going to dry that money up because the economy not going good, and they get their budgets from the networks, the larger networks. All that shit is contracting, man. The economy ain't good.
That's a very good point. It's what I was saying back there is just it's been tough, man. It's just been real tough. It's been real eerie on the boxing front. I find myself wanting to watch some boxing, and then we get it, and it's all gonna start and end on one night. So, I mean, that's what I was saying. But truth to what you're saying, Pittsburgh, yes, I pay attention. That's another thing we could dedicate some time to. I love the markets. And right now, you couldn't tell me that there's not a government on this face of the earth that's not dealing with some type of constraint or inflationary issues. So, yeah, you're right, man. And including me, man. I'm having a tough time this year, man. Fuck 2022. Like, literally. Like, this has been the toughest throughout the pandemic this time around. I can't believe it.
Well, tomorrow you got the jobs numbers. You got the unemployment every Thursday. People don't know. Every Thursday they do unemployment numbers.
Yeah, I'm not unemployed though.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. And I think they're doing PPI on Friday, which is the consumer.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Yeah. You said CPI. Okay. Yeah. I'm familiar. The Fed spoke a wee bit today. They'll come out. I know, man. Like I said, that stuff. Wow. That's
a whole nother thing. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Well, we don't take over, DJ. Go ahead. Get us back on track here, DJ.
What's up, 817? What's going on, man? My brother 817, man.
817.
Get y'all ass clipped come Sunday. You know, that's still my brother. But
you know what? Oh yeah, I was just about to ask you about that, D. Yeah, what you thinking? What you thinking about that?
I mean, I think it'll be a good game for a little bit. But I think eventually, we're gonna make enough plays to put. I say if we can get to 24 or 28, it's ball game, because I don't see Cooper Rush getting more than 17 points on us. Even though I've said this too, something is going to have to give. Dallas's defense has not given up 20 points all year, and we haven't scored less than 20 points all year. So something's going to have to give this week. Even the mighty Kansas City Chiefs were held under 20 points this year. So so even the mighty Buffalo Bills, who these are the two teams everybody keeps saying that are the two best teams in the league. And I just kind of got to point out, not only do they already have a loss, but they've also been held under 20 points this year. So that's neither here nor there. Back to boxing.
Yeah, but call me crazy. I agree with that assessment, sir.
So yeah, some's gonna have to give, and I think they'll give out before us because, for the first time, the Giants are playing. I'm not the Giants. The Cowboys are playing somebody who's gonna make them play 53 1/3.
Yeah,
exactly. Y'all who don't know what that means sideline to sideline.
Yeah,
gonna make you play the full length of the field and gonna stretch you vertically. So we're gonna keep them honest. But man, I mean, the summer was the back half of summer was kind of dry because I feel like we were looking forward to some fights that didn't happen. I think personally, Jermell Charlo could have fought his IBF mandatory Bakram. I had to go look up some of his fights because I'd never heard of the guy. I went and looked up some of his fights. Charlo could have got him out of there in 4 rounds and could have satisfied his IBF mandatory and still been able to fight Tim Tszyu in January, which I think he's going to starch Tim Tszyu too. I was not impressed when I saw him fight Goucher. Him fighting Goucher was the first time I saw him fight. I was not impressed.
Yeah,
when
Goucher,
I when I've been hearing about Tim Tszyu for a while and how he's this big megastar over in Australia, and he's this, he's that, he's got this kind of power, he's got these kind of skills. I didn't see that against Goucher. I saw him get put on his ass in the first round. It's like, oh, he's food. I think Tony Harrison beats him. I still think Lubin beats him. I definitely think Charlo knocks him out, and I think Castano beats him. I was just not impressed with Tim Tszyu. Have y'all seen him fight?
yeah, he's his footwork's not all that great. He's barrel chested, a little slow, but tough guy. And I agree with what you said again. All the top talent, they beat him in fashion probably because he's the type of weary type that would probably take a chance, given that he thinks he's that tough. So yeah, I think all the top guys beat him, man. But I'm glad he's here, to get that experience. And just kind of like the younger crops, they're at the 17, 18, 22 and 0 type of scheduling. So he'll get the work and get beat, and we'll see. We'll see. I don't know about Charles. I mean, he could have snuck that fight in, no doubt. Both of them, man.
Yeah,
Both of them.
man, he fought in May.
Both of them. Yeah, both of them. Both of them. Just Pittsburgh got my mind rolling, with that economy comment. So, but what he means by that is that, man, everything is complex and there's a lot going on, and even within the boxing spirit, there's a lot going on, trying to be done, trying to be had. That Daniel Kinahan BS really, muffed some things up too. Really slowed down some things too, because he had a lot of top names, and he's got a list of people who come in contact with him to make kind of boxing happen over there. So notice how when that stuff went down, like basically all of that stuff shut down. Even they've been slim pickings.
Yeah, I mean, Steph, I think that doesn't get. I don't think that gets
doesn't
mentioned
affect
enough.
us, but like
I don't
I'm
think
just
that
saying,
gets mentioned enough. How many fighters were under MTK Global or had an association with MTK Global, and it cost a lot of fighters to be sidelined. We're slowly starting to see that type of stuff getting resolved. We're slowly starting to see these fighters being able to fight or get shows. But I mean, get fights.
Have you noticed?
But I don't think that gets stated enough. How that
Media,
MTK Global investigation messed up a lot of fights.
have you noticed how the mainstream media, they haven't asked Tyson Fury like what are his plans as far as like another big fight? Like, a lot of things come out of that, but like this is the first time we've ever seen him trying to, maybe me, or no, I don't want to say that. On ever since the Wilder series, he definitely thinks he's a draw, and he hasn't argued because he's been knocking people out, but he's trying to draw himself up over there. So I've noticed that no one will ask him, hey man, like, what's up with Top Rank? Can you come over there and do some things? Or nope.
I think Top Rank is trying to get rid of him. I think they've been in the red since they acquired Tyson Fury. Outside of the Wilder fights, you look at the Otto Wallin and the Tom Schwartz fights. Those arenas were half empty, if they were half empty.
Those are terrible.
You look at the fight against what's his name? Old Numbnuts. He's about to fight again, reportedly. Dillian White. You look at the fight with them over there. I think it was Wembley Arena. Was it Wembley or somewhere else? I think it was. Was it Wembley?
It was Wembley. Yeah, it was Wembley.
It was one of them soccer stadiums. Anyway,
no, it was a big one.
Yeah,
It was
there, excuse me. Yeah, what they did, 80, 90,000, something like that. Other than that fight, I think Top Rank has been in the red with promoting Tyson Fury. So I think they're trying to. I think he's at the point where they just really want to be done with him. Because I'm hearing now that he might fight Derek Chisora. I think he had a fight date. I think he had a fight date in December to begin with. I think Tyson Fury had a date in December to begin with, and he's trying to fulfill that date. He threw out Anthony Joshua's name, but that was never really a real possibility.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever a real possibility, but he threw that name out there. But he's gonna fight somebody over in the UK, and some people will show up and watch it. But as far as him being a huge draw like that on pay-per-view or even here, I just don't see it.
Yeah. As far as Chisora goes, perhaps that's just.
Oh, you cut out. Would you say that's just what? Damn, Steph cut out. If you can hear me, go out and come back in, man. But yeah. He who greased with fire. Those are the reports I've been seeing. It might be an actual thing. I think they're still working on it, but I think that's an actual thing, man. I think him and Chisora are gonna mix it up. Because, like I said, I think he already had a fight date in December, and we're just going off that. But he's also been kind of waffling whether or not he's gonna retire and all this type of stuff. Man, I don't know, but I'm more interested to see what happens after this Saturday when Deontay Wilder makes his return and knocks out Robert Helenius inside of 5 rounds. Round 5. That's the round I'm calling it. Round 5. I think he gets him out of there in round 5. Once he gets warmed up, knocks some of that rust off, gets touched a few times, lets him know he's in a fight. Let him know this is a fight, not sparring. I think he'll wake up and remember. Well, he not did he ever forget. Wait a minute, I'm Deontay Wilder. Yeah, but sleepy night. And after that, I'm interested to see where Deontay Wilder goes from there because I think Usyk wants that fight. I think Usyk wants the money fight, and he's already beaten AJ a couple times. So AJ is out of there. Round 5 is generous. I think we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, no more than 6 rounds. Absolutely, 817. No more than 6 rounds for sure. But I'm gonna call it in round 5. Round 5. I think he gets him out of there. But hey, my guy Alex might be right. Round 5 might be generous. But hey, man, Helenius is no joke, man. I actually respect him. After watching him beat up Kalnaki, you got to remember these guys have been out of the ring the same amount of time. It's not that Helenius has been in here working all year. No, he fought on Wilder's undercard last year when Wilder fought Fury. And this the same guy that beat up Kalnaki last year. Remember that hellacious beating Kalnaki took? For the people who don't remember, go back and watch that Wilder Fury 3 undercard. That the big guy who's beating the brakes off Adam Kalnaki. That's who Wilder's fighting, in case y'all didn't know. But we're all boxing fans here, so I think everybody kind of knew that. Caleb Plant and Anthony Dirrell. That fight's going to be interesting.
Wait, real fast, DJ.
Huh?
Is there anything like you're looking for in Deontay in particular, or just expecting him to knock him out?
I want to see his weight. I know a lot of people don't really make a big deal out of it, and I'm not even gonna make a big deal out of it. But I think he was better at the lighter weights. Anything less than 220, I think he was great at. I think, just me. This is just me. I think him bulking up to damn near 240 pounds for those last 2 fights with Fury, I don't think that was necessarily good for him. I think he was better when he was lighter, more nimble, and was able to cut the angles that he was cutting to sleep people. Because everybody can say all he has is a right hand and he has no boxing skill. Well, he knocked out a lot of guys who did have boxing skill. And you just don't land that right hand on people, especially when they know it's coming. You got to set it up. and he was great at setting up his right hand. You don't do that without boxing skills. So I know the skills are still there. I know the power is still there. I just want to see, how he looks going into the ring. Did he trim back down? Because he looks slim and trim and ready to tear something up come Saturday night. I want to see what he comes in on the scale. If he comes in 215, 218, he's done. Robert Helenius is done anyway, but he might be out of there sooner than 5.
I see. Yeah, I'm kind of just looking for like his endurance.
You think he can lose that weight again, DJ, to get back to 215 once he went all the way up to that weight? Like he wasn't fat with that weight. That was a solid.
That was muscle. That was pure muscle.
Yeah, so for him to get back down to 220, I mean, that might be a little strong task for him to do.
Well, he did say he put in a lot of work.
If it had been 8 months like it was between Roy fighting John Ruiz and him fighting Tarver, it had been because he fought Ruiz in March and then fought Tarver in I think it was either October or November that same year. So it hadn't been 8 months. It's been a little over a year now. It's been it'll be a little over a year since the last time he fought. So I think he's had plenty of time, to get the weight back down. But yeah, he was huge, man. He was huge for his frame. He look a good 225-ish right now. But yeah, man, I want to see him come in at like 218, 220. That Wilder that fought Fury the first time. And that fought Dominic Brazil. You know what I mean? I think that's the size that he, that I'd like to see him at. But whatever weight he's comfortable at, man, if he feels like he's comfortable at 225 or 230, have at it, man.
Yeah,
he won't have a 300 pound. I don't think he'll have a 300-pound man leaning on him this time. So, but yeah, he's definitely slimmed out 817. You can see it. But yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to see my guy work, man. Just looking forward to seeing him work.
He's a sharpshooter, no doubt. The brawler wasn't really suiting his task, but just looking for him, his cardio, just looking for that. He looks sharp on the pads with whomever he's working with. I actually kind of like the not kind of. I like the Malik Deontay connection. Yeah, Deontay trusts him. And that was the first time in a long time, I guess a heavyweight, and then, how garnering Deontay is, how coveted he is, but he's people's champ. So it's good that worked out. And just looking for his cardio, man. He should be fine. He should just be fine. I expect it maybe anywhere. It could be early, like you guys are saying, 5-6 rounds, but worst case, 10 rounds, 9-10 rounds. He'll probably knock that
if it goes late, I won't be mad, but I definitely think like it would be. I definitely think it would be better if he stops him. But yeah, man, we're gonna see come Saturday. But the most interesting fight of the night is that Caleb Plant Anthony Dirrell. Because I think Caleb Plant needs to win. I'm rooting for Caleb Plant. I don't know who's going to win. I really think this is a 50-50 fight. But I think boxing needs Caleb Plant to win. I want Caleb Plant to win. So we can possibly get that Benavidez and Caleb Plant fight. I've spoken about that before.
This is his best win if he wins.
But let me ask you guys a question about Wilder. How much do you think emotionally that whole Tyson Fury series did to a fighter? Like, since now he's not dealing with that no more, right? He was up for all those fights. Like, could it be a case of him like just coming down, like other sports where teams play down when they have lesser teams and it's not that up thing? They play down their skill level. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to ask.
Let me get it real fast.
You hoping he doesn't fight to the level of his competition?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There you go, Peter. There you go.
Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah. I just want to. I'll be quick. Man, uh, Pittsburgh. That's a good question, and I think he's over it, man, because uh, ever since Wilder, came back to the public eye in the last, I don't know, 3 to 5 months, really back since the statue reveal. Man, that guy's happy, man. I haven't seen him. I mean, he's usually, pretty jovial, but coming out of adversity like that, he's in a good spot, man. He's smiling big. I mean, that smile goes from ear to ear. He's in a really, really good spot, man. So, uh, and the Wild, a piece of him died in the ring in those 3 fights. So he's not the same Wilder. We have to know that going into this fight, and furthermore, he's not the same Wilder. He's probably 80% of that guy. He'll tell you that. But he is happy where he is at in his career, in his life. He seems to be hungry for a wee bit more, and I expect him to go on a tear again, man. I know people say he can't box, but Wilder can box, man. He's a really, really, really good boxer, really good fighter, a really good heavyweight. Dang near stopped everybody who he's faced. So he's pretty solid. I think he's in a, and then one more thing, just comparing the whole, because you asked about Tyson and whatnot, just look at how it's transpired. Look how beloved Wilder is compared to Tyson. Tyson has a bit of respect, man, but he comes off very dodgy and shady and you could say rude, really. And then, like, who was he before Wilder and who was he after? It's kind of still the same. Not a draw, just a crazy old dude talking shit on drugs or even PEDs at worst. So,
Yeah.
Wilder's in a good spot, man. Go ahead, DJ.
Plant win. Oh, I was reading the comments. Plant versus Darrell is a tune-up for Plant. I'm shocked people think it's 50-50. Yo, listen, man. People forget, like, oh crap, dropped my laptop again. Oh, hope I didn't break it. Anyway, people forget, man, like Anthony Darrell beat Yildirim, who got to fight Cinnamon for the unified, at that time, the unified super middleweight championship. People forget that Anthony Darrell was giving David Benavidez some good work before that cut happened, and Benavidez ended up stopping it. Like, those weren't, like, he wasn't just getting blown out in that Benavidez fight. Like, Benavidez had to work for that stoppage, and he is coming off of a knockout win. So he's the one with the momentum right now, and this is the first time we've seen Caleb Plant since Caleb Plant lost to Canelo. Now, in my opinion, Caleb Plant was winning that fight until he wasn't. Like, you can't argue with you really can't argue with a stoppage like that. I was about to say you can't argue with a stoppage. I'm about to say you can't argue with a stoppage earlier, but when you get stopped like that, like, you can't argue with that. Like, Cinnamon beat him, but this is the first time we've seen him in over a year. He's been off 13 months. So what Caleb Plant are we gonna get? Are we gonna get that same Caleb Plant that fought Truax? Are we gonna get the same Caleb Plant that fought Uskatiki, or however you say his name? I've heard his name pronounced 2 or 3 different ways. Are we gonna get that Caleb Plant that fought Uskatiki, or are we gonna get the one that fought Truax? Are we gonna get the one that was boxing Canelo's face off for like the first 6 rounds? So which guy are we gonna get coming off that 13-month layoff? Like I said, I think Caleb Plant will win a close. I think it'll be a split decision, or if it is a unanimous decision, I can see it being 7-5, 8-4, something like that. Which I really don't consider 8-4. If you only win 4 rounds out of 12, that's not really a close fight to me. So it's just one of them things, man. I think it's I personally, I think it's a 50-50 fight. Caleb Plant has Caleb Plant's chin healed in over a year. We don't know until he gets hit. And we, like I said, we just saw Anthony Durrell win a fight by knockout in his last fight. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I think David Benavidez is the best 168 pounder. So I think everyone really, whomever we're talking about in the division should be trying to fight him and size themselves up to him because like he's the best and probably beats them all in that weight class. So, or no, nextly, I like Caleb Plant, man. I like him. I like his style. He seems to be a super middleweight who's slick and can really pick and pop, and he's got a good ring generalship. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I don't know about him busting paper bags and whatnot. I don't know what he can do as far as that goes, but he can hightail to a W. He does have questions to fill. Or let me say this before I get on the cons. I am interested by this matchup. I'm very intrigued. I want to see how Caleb Plant, like you said, bounces back after 13 months. That's what really makes me want to watch the fight, where I just haven't seen him in a long time, and I want to see what he's, how he's handled his adversity. He just had a kid some months ago, and we all know how big that is with him. So that's there. And then he's got the new trainer, of course, Breadman. I'm sure he's just sharpening his skills and working on a few weaknesses. But I look at his level of competition, man, and that's why I said at the beginning of that, where I said this would be his best win, man. I mean, like, dude, I don't want to say he ain't fought nobody, but like, dog, the names on his resi just like don't have a lot of experience. So he needs to shine in this one, man. He needs to really coming off a knockout loss too. So like he needs to shine in this one, and I commend him for taking this hard matchup. But I wouldn't be surprised if Durrell walks away, man, with the win. This is gonna be a tough fight for both guys, but like I wouldn't be surprised if Durrell walked away. Because Plant just, I don't know, man. I don't know. But he's got a knack of winning, right? Besides that loss.
He's got what now?
He's kind of got a knack of winning.
Caleb's problem from the fights that I've seen in his career is the later, he gasses out later in fights. Once it hits that 8th, 9th, 10th round, he's done. Like you can clearly see by his punch output that he starts he'll start off fast, and through probably about the first 7 rounds, maybe 8, he's sharp, he's accurate, but it's always those 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th rounds where it looks like he's gasping for air.
Yeah,
like,
and that was
you clearly see his arms get heavy, and he just can't keep up with the pace that he starts out at. And like you had those questions about Wilder's cardio. Those are the questions that I have for him. Like if it gets late in that fight and all of a sudden Anthony Durrell is still there, because Caleb Plant is not known as a knockout puncher, but all of these guys, man, unless you're Paulie Malignaggi, right? I think all of these guys can crack, or Michael McKinson. All of these guys can crack. I think with 8-ounce gloves on, I think all of these guys can crack. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah, they wear 8 or 10. I think super middleweight still wear 10, right? I think everything above 154 wears 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, with these 10-ounce gloves on, man. Frank Sanchez, thank you, TJ. Shout out to you, bro. Frank Sanchez, another good guy. A lot of people feel like he's got next up in the division, him and Jared Anderson. I've been on record as saying I think he and Jared Anderson are going to fight for undisputed one day. So we'll see, man. We'll see how Frank Sanchez looks and continues his ascension, not only in the rankings but in his skill level. But man, he's a handful to deal with. We all saw how he boxed Efe Ajagba's face off last year as well. and we'll see, man.
Let's see somebody put mention the Wilder fight Fury for a fourth time. Please, no,
Nah, that ain't happening.
no more of that.
I don't think they want to deal with him anymore. I think that chapter's closed. Like I said, I don't have any inside information. I wish I did, but it's just I think that chapter's closed. They fought 3 times, and I don't necessarily think anybody would still want to see it.
I think first off, I think we'd all pay for that again. Because I think this is just what I think. I just think those 2 guys are the only 2 guys who could beat one another right now.
Agreed.
I know Usyk's very close, but I wouldn't bet on it. I take Tyson Fury over Usyk. Same thing with the Wilder matchup. I know Usyk can beat Wilder, but I wouldn't bet on it. I take Wilder for sure.
But we don't know. We haven't seen Wilder beat Fury yet, so we can't say they beat each other because
he beat him
Wilder
twice.
ain't never beat Fury.
He beat him twice. Those counts were
He
terrible.
definitely beat him.
I watched the fight last night. I watched the third fight. No, I watched the third fight again, man. He knocked him twice down in the same round in that fourth, and dude didn't even count. And when he did, he started counting. He started at 4 when he should have been at 6. Twice they cheated him, so it's all good. He got the W. He lost. In fact, he got knocked out. But if they're gonna be professional about it, Wilder should have 2.
The first fight, the second fight was marred in so much controversy. I almost skip over that one. You know what I mean?
I don't care about it. I don't care what anyone says. That they cheated.
Yeah, the second fight, it was so much crap surrounding that second fight, man. I really don't even like to mention it, so I just really talk about the first and the last one. So, I mean, it's just first fight the judges had it a draw, even though personally I thought Deontay Wilder had the decision. But even if you didn't,
he knocked him out, DJ. Wait a minute, DJ, he knocked him out. DJ knocked him out.
Legit knocked him out because by Fury's own admission, he didn't hear any. He was like, I was fighting, and the next thing I heard was 4, 5. Like he was out.
He was out.
So it's just one of them things, man. It went how it went. We got to see 3. We got to see 3 good fights out of it, and we just, not rehash the past or anything, but it those fights went how they went, and it's over with. So,
I mean, but that's always been those counts. You can go back a whole bunch of them with those counts, man. Those counts has always been that's part of boxing. So that's what it is.
For sure.
Even if that fight when the first time Tyson got knocked out, he knocked your boy down, and you could say that count was long, right? You could say that the initial count when Tyson knocked out what's the guy named Buster Douglas when he knocked him down, and you could say that count was long. I mean, that's just part of the way boxing is with the referees and the human person making that count. And he got up and knocked out Tyson, the first person to put him on his back.
Absolutely.
That robot would have got it right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the counts are very subjective, but at the same time, man, it's like I said, been there, done that. It's time to move on. I'm glad everybody's moving on, and so
it's enough of that. And that's I mean, he would have to me. If that person felt like they cheated, that's just me. And you felt like the person cheated you, and you felt like you honestly lost or cheating, you come back, we do it again. I ain't changing no train account. I ain't doing nothing because you cheated me. That's the only way you won. I'm not going to say you then cheated me and then come back with all this new stuff, new trainers, new this and that. I'm not doing that. You only beat me because you cheated me, if I really felt like that. That's me personally.
I got you, Pittsburgh. I got you.
Yeah, so people don't want
to. My guy Alex said he might be an even better Wilder. Don't be surprised. If we see Wilder, oh yeah, that's the one you was reading earlier.
Yeah, that's what I
Paul,
read.
what TJ said Paulie really overachieved. Let me say Paulie really overachieved. Being a 2-division champ with no hand power, if you ask me. Well, I mean, yeah. See, I guess you could say that. I mean, he had good skills, but man, man, I just, I guess you could say he overachieved. I guess you could say that. To me, an overachiever would be somebody like Jamel Herring. I think Jamel Herring overachieved being a former super featherweight champion. You look at somebody, to me, the overachievers are people who might not necessarily have the most skill. They might not necessarily be the most athletic, but somehow, some way, they found a way to win, and they found a way to become champions. And in my mind, nobody represents that. For me right now, nobody represents that more than Jamel Herring. I think Jamel Herring got every ounce of whatever it was he had in him. I mean, I think he got it out. So, yeah, man.
Well, would you consider? How about Bernard Hopkins? Would you consider him an overachiever?
Absolutely. That's another great pick. He took really good care of his body, and he worked on his skills. Like he learned how to. I mean, he learned how to box in prison and all that type of stuff. He worked on his skills. He wasn't supremely athletic, but he got everything out of what he had. That's an overachiever. And Bernard Hopkins also represents that, in my opinion. Yeah, that's a good example. Who would somebody else be that y'all think would be an overachiever in boxing history?
Man. We also got what's the guy's name, man? Can't even think of the name. The one that Tyson bit his ear. What's his name?
Holyfield?
Yeah. Holyfield has
I think Holyfield was a supreme athlete. I think he could have ran track. I think Holyfield could have played football. I think he was a supreme athlete who just so happened to box.
Yeah.
I think Roy Jones, another supreme athlete. I think Terrence Crawford, another supreme athlete. Errol Spence, Jerron Ennis. I think these guys could have played other sports.
Well, I mean, because of his size. I only say that because of his size and the weight division.
I mean, yeah, you got to remember, Holyfield moved up in weight. I think he started out at like light heavyweight or something, right?
Yeah.
Super middleweight or light heavyweight, one of the two.
Yep. He wasn't a big heavyweight.
No, he wasn't. Well, later in his career, he got up there, but when he first moved to heavyweight, Holyfield was only like, what was it, 220, something like that, because he was moving up from cruiserweight.
Yeah, probably just barely. He was light 200. He wasn't that. It's very light 200.
Yeah, he was a light heavyweight. Not a light heavyweight, but weight wise, he was a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Let me think. Who else? I think Floyd Mayweather, supreme athlete. I think he could have did something else. Who else? Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis. I think all of these guys could have done something else. And
yeah, definitely most heavy.
At this point a lot when people ask, well, where are the American heavyweights? Do you see Myles Garrett and do you see Aaron Donald? I'll rest my case. So that's where the American heavyweights are. They're in the NFL and they're in the NBA. Dwight Howard, I think he could have been a heavyweight champion.
Oh, Dwight Howard could have been a lot of different things.
Yeah, man. You got some guys who are great athletes who could have done anything. Yeah. Hey! You watch that talk. You watch that kind of talk, TJ. We will not tolerate any Holyfield slander around here.
Yeah, we don't do that. No, Holyfield's the man.
We don't do that here.
Holyfield was the real deal before the juice.
Man.
Before the juice.
What juice? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but he never tested positive. So that's all like,
Right.
that's never tested positive for anything.
Yeah,
11
Lennox
years.
Lewis started that. Lennox Lewis started that rigmarole about, hey, look at this picture, look at that picture.
If he was worried about that, concerned about that, he should have got him tested before he had to fight. He had the authority to do that in negotiations, but he didn't. He didn't bring that up. Like, get out of here with that.
Right.
Because Lennox wanted to fight him and he knew he could beat him. But Lennox, he's a funny guy, man. Really smart, intelligent guy. He's really funny too. Really funny guy. He's like a supreme prankster. So he said a lot of things.
Yeah, but I won't hold too much water with that stuff like that. Especially if you if you lose, if we play and you lose, and then you want to tell me about some foul we playing basketball that I fouled you that you didn't call. Like, nah, you're supposed to call that during the game. You don't wait till after the game after you lost. You hollering about some foul. That's too late for that now.
Right.
Yeah, it's a neck.
Right.
People like to do it.
You can't wait until the third quarter to call the foul, and that happened in the first quarter. I mean,
yeah, it don't work like that. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. You're supposed to call that out from the beginning. You could address that then. Or you remember that Martin Lawrence when he played? You remember the Martin Lawrence episode when he played these pro girls? I don't know if they was pros or not, but it was him, Tommy, and Cole. They were playing these girls in basketball. And at some point, they realized their ass wasn't going to win. And Martin looked out and said, "Hey, man, follow my lead." And he just started grabbing his leg and fall on the ground like, "Oh, my leg, oh, man." Can't do that, man. That's basically what some of these cats be doing with some of this stuff.
Yeah. Emmanuel Stewart Lennox Lewis was a monster, but he get dirty with you. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Emmanuel Stewart helped Lennox Lewis hide his chin too.
Yeah.
So when people ask what could AJ do to beat Usyk, that was my answer. I was like, well, unless the late great Emmanuel Stewart is gonna come back and help AJ hide his chin, I don't see any way he's beating Usyk. But that is what it is. I'm still holding out a glimmer of hope that maybe late next year we get a Wilder AJ fight. I'm hopelessly optimistic we get that fight. So, but I don't think it'll happen. But a kid can dream, right?
I don't know, man. Let's for now. Let's just let AJ heal. He's coming off 2 losses in a row. He probably shouldn't even went back to back like that. But I mean, whatever. But let's just let him heal. And
what else was he gonna do?
We'll see. I
mean, you got a point, DJ. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
I mean, he just sus, man. He just sus. That's all. Because I rock with AJ, man, but he just sus.
As it comes down to the situation where, No,
I don't think we'll get that matchup, even though both guys are down for it. Talking about Wilder and Juggernaut Joyce.
Joe Joyce don't want that fight.
Yeah, I don't think he really wants to.
Joe Joyce don't want that fight. Joe Joyce is in line for a title shot. I think his last fight against Joseph Parker was a final eliminator in the WBO. I think Joe Joyce is ranked either number 1 or number 2 in the WBO currently. So I mean, he's knocking on the door of a title shot, man. I don't think he wants to be messing around with nobody like Deontay Wilder right now and go to sleep. So, I'll wait, get my title shot, and we'll see what happens after that.
I mean, you sitting that Parker dude with some shit, man. I don't even know how he was standing up, man. I'll see you be drug testing, man. You drug testing some goddamn buddy.
Yeah, man. He hit everybody like that. And it always gets me like how fast, how slow Joe Joyce throws his punches, but somehow they get to where they need to go.
But we grew up in that juice in the Major League Baseball era, man. They had the rocket. They had certain pitchers that only had one pitch. They ain't need nothing but that one. Get you out of there. You couldn't stop it. Karl Malone and Stockton and them, they only had to pick and roll and kill you with it.
Yeah.
You got to stop what you got. They perfected that one thing and just worked on it. It showed slow, but it showed be catching every goddamn fight. I'll say he was hitting it. He was tagging his ass all night, man. I don't know what the fuck that was. That no two had going on.
Hey, right, TJ. Right. Like you can see it coming. Like you can see it coming from the stands, but yet it always lands.
We got
Where'd Pittsburgh go? Anyway, man, I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me tonight, man. I know it was kind of late. I know we got started kind of late, but yeah, it's all good, man. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me the time that y'all did hang out with me. Shout out to your host, Kyle, as always. I know he out there working hard tonight, man. But yeah, man, we got to cook a little bit tonight. Got to talk a little bit about some boxing. Got to talk about these fights coming up this weekend. And next week, we're gonna address the big MMA card coming up. UFC 280 is coming up, man. We got 3 big blockbuster fights all on one card. The card is stacked from top to bottom for all my MMA guys out there. We're gonna address that probably tomorrow and next week. That's a big card coming up, man. But I appreciate y'all for stopping by the boxing section tonight. I know Kyle appreciates it. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on your way out, man. And with that, salute. Peace, y'all.
Got the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it G. Always be the same me. While I'm solid, boy, they can't change me. No.